Hey, howdy, hey, friends and neighbors. Scott here. Today we're going to talk about a super awesome plant that loves you very much, even if it looks like it wants to murder you, but it doesn't. It wants to save your life. It's milk thistle. Silybum marianum. That's the scientific name. Say it to your kids to get a chuckle. Silybum. So, to identify milk thistle, well, first of all, it grows wild a lot of places and is even classified as a noxious weed, the poor thing. I mean, sure, it's pokey, but we all get pokey every now and then, don't we? We get a little grouchy and thorny, and this poor thing, it's in some places it's illegal to distribute it. It can even be illegal to intentionally plant it, and you might be required to remove it if they find it on your property, all while it is trying so hard to save your life. Um, I'm not telling anybody to break the law. I'm just saying if a few seeds fell out of your pocket when you were out on a walk, I wouldn't blame you. Now, whatever state or county that you're in, they might blame you, but I wouldn't blame you. Of course, I'm not the one with the legal authority, so that's not going to help you much. But it's a wonderful plant. Now, it's a thistle. Well, is it a true thistle or is it not? That's something that depends on who you ask. It's in the Silybum genus rather than the other thistles are it starts with a C, doesn't it? The thistles. Oh well, that's not important. It grows in a. It has a rosette of rather large leaves. You can see them there in the picture, and they're sharp on the edges. Ooh, they are sharp. I mean, wear leather gloves, wear chainmail, or not chainmail to poke through that. Wear some kind of knight's gauntlets to handle this stuff. And it can be differentiated from other thistles because of that white marbling that looks like spilled milk. That's why it's called a milk thistle. Well, that and something else we'll get to. In about the second year, it will grow a central stalk that can branch off into many multiple blooms. It's theoretically a biennial, but thistles sometimes are kind of stubborn. That's just their personality. Sometimes they decide they're going to do all their growing in 1 year, and sometimes they want to take their time and grow in 3 years. And isn't anybody going to tell them otherwise? I like a plant with personality. But they will make a beautiful purple bloom that we're going to see on the next slide. It's a very thistle-like bloom, or artichoke-like. You'll see what I mean. It's distinct. And it has very spiny bracts. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. There it is right there. Beautiful. Handle with care. Now, what do you do with this thing? Medicinally, it's classically a liver tonic. It facilitates correct liver function. And boy, does it ever. It's also a very potent liver protector, and this is not just a old wives' tale folklore kind of thing, which really I'm prone to believe old wives' tales and folklore, but this is also research backed. You know how some herbs kind of get relegated off to the realm of folklore, but the milk thistle hasn't. It's been studied repeatedly, and it's been repeatedly confirmed to have potent liver protecting properties. It's really pretty amazing. It's something that, if it is not illegal in your area, it's something we ought to all be growing a little bit of. It protects your liver from various poisons, including mushroom poisons, including some of the really serious, nasty mushrooms, the like avenging angel mushrooms. They do studies with mice, and people have used it too. It can protect from virus damage like hepatitis, or from damage from alcohol, so it can help to prevent cirrhosis. Uh, I was telling a person that I don't know this for a fact, but I think if people had a big spoonful of thistle seeds every day, they could probably drink about all they wanted and not hurt their liver. Of course, it might harm them in other ways, but I think their liver would probably be fine. Let's not test that though. Let's be responsible with beverages and with our livers. It also can protect the liver from psychotropic drugs and acetaminophen, Tylenol. And Tylenol is not it's not gentle on your liver. So if you have a condition where you have to take some Tylenol, you might want to consider taking some milk thistle with it to help, make it a little more gentle on your liver, help protect it and help it recover. And it's protective against some solvents as well. It really has a wide range of liver protecting benefits. And it's pretty good for your gallbladder as well. It stimulates bile from the gallbladder and the liver, keeps everything moving along. Milk thistle is also a galactagogue, meaning it helps to produce milk. It's a milk producer, milk thistle. That's the other likely source of the name. Don't worry, men, it will not make you lactate. It works for mommies. So let's talk about quantities for a little bit. A recommended dosage for daily use uh, is probably going to be around 175 milligrams. That shouldn't say or, that should say of a 30 to 1 seed extract standardized to 80% silymarin. That's the active constituent. But I mean, if you buy it in a store, you can find it that way. I pulled this dosing out of that medical herbalism book by David Hoffman. That's a real good book. But let's say you want to do things yourself, as one does. That amount of silymarin would be around 12 to 15 seeds worth. Or for some kind of therapeutic or restorative use, you want to get about 600 milligrams, the same amount of extract. So that's around 36 to 45 seeds. So I don't take this every day. If I was, I will take some, once a year, kind of as a spring like cleansing protocol, just kind of a tune-up for the body. I might take it for a few weeks. But if I was in an emergency situation, if I had consumed something that was a bit questionable, after the fact, I was out, say, mushroom foraging and realized, oh, I don't think that was the right one, I would probably rush home and down quite a few milk thistle seeds. It would be handy to make some tincture of it too, because you can absorb the tincture through your mucous membranes, say in your mouth. When if something else made you sick, where you couldn't keep the seeds down and you were throwing them up, you could do the tincture in your mouth, say under your tongue, where the skin is real thin, and absorb it that way. Or if I was in a situation where one of my kids had eaten a mushroom and we didn't know what it was and we were worried, and I'm talking about an emergency. I'm not talking about when, say, you have a doctor next door, or if you have access to your own expert herbalist next door and he knows exactly how much milk thistle to use, or a doctor and they know exactly what to do, or a mushroom forager and they know exactly what they ate. I'm talking about an emergency and you have to do something yourself, If it was a choice between the risk of mushroom poisoning or a theoretical overdose of milk thistle, which, I mean, I guess you can overdose on everything, but I mean, it would be kind of hard to overdose on milk thistle. I would definitely be giving my kids a bunch of milk thistle seeds. I would be giving them an adult dose. If it was life-threatening and I thought that they could die, yeah, I'm a lot more worried about the poisoning than I am the milk thistle. So I would give them an adult dose. And if they couldn't keep it down, you can do the tincture. Now, kids may, even if they're in a life or death situation, they may not realize that. They may not be able to keep that tincture in their mouth because it tastes real strong. It has that alcohol taste and it's gross, and they might want to spit that out. So I'm not advising this as your first course or anything. I'm saying if you can't get anything else done and you have got to take care of those little boogers, and you're a parent, you got to keep them alive. One thing you might think about, I've never done this. Theoretically, this should work. Hopefully, none of us will be in the situation where we have to do this. But if you get that tincture in one of those syringes, like you give kids cough syrup or a liquid medicine, pull some of it up into a syringe, and you can turn them over and get access to their get access to their booty, right? If you can squirt that down in their booty, you may want to get some coconut oil or something to lubricate that syringe for the poor little darlings. But get it in there, squirt it down in there, and leave them with their booty sticking up in the air for a minute so it can go down into their colon. The colon is really good at absorbing liquids. I mean, that's kind of its job, is to absorb the last little bit of water from the poo before you poo it out. And that tincture is in a liquid form, and so it'll absorb it real fast and get it into the body when they might not be able to keep something down if they were sick to their stomach. So once again, that's probably not your first go-to option, but if worse came to worse and you needed to get that stuff into them, that's what I would do with my own kids if we were in that situation. Now let's talk about something more pleasant than potential poisonings. Let's talk about just eating it for fun, just the edibility factor. Pretty much anything that's not going to stab you on this plant, you can eat it. So the seeds, you could eat them whole, but I don't think you'll break them down. You want to crack them or grind them up. You can eat the leaves, but you want to get them when they're real young, because the spines, you cannot cook them enough to get the spines to soften up. You can cut the spines off, or some people will pull out the midrib of the leaf and just eat that. The stalk is edible. I've never eaten milk thistle stalk. I've eaten some other thistle stalks, and some are pretty good, and some are not so good. I don't know, specifically what the milk thistle stalk tastes like because I'm always harvesting the seeds. If you harvest the stalk, you don't have the seeds. Yeah, younger ones are better on that too. You just strip away the outer layer and you can eat the inside. And everything here is edible, cooked or raw too, just which way you like it. You can fry it up, boil it up, chomp it up, and the flowers and the roots are edible as well. Everything on there is edible. Safety. It's very safe. It's just really, really safe. There are no side effects reported, no reported drug interactions. You can even use it when you're pregnant or nursing, and there are some herbs you can't do that. So this is a really good herb. The only things that I could think of that might potentially be problematic are if you just happen to be allergic to it, which I guess could happen, especially if you're allergic to things in the Asteraceae family, because it's in that family. But that's not going to be common at all. Or maybe if you had some kind of blockage of a bile duct, like a real serious blockage, since this stimulates bile flow, I guess it could cause some backup and some pressure. That could be a problem. But that's a pretty specific situation. By and large, for most people, it's a very safe plant, even in quantities. So, if you're not allowed to grow it, you may want to go buy some of the extract just to have that. If you are allowed to grow it, grow it. For goodness sakes, grow it. I was going to tell you about harvesting the seeds. There's kind of a trick. Sorry, I'm jumping back in my train of thought here. Harvesting the seeds is tricky because the whole dadgum thing wants to bite you. I mean, it wants to help, but it's not gonna make it easy. You have to earn it. So I think probably the easiest way, I've tried it a few different ways, and I think the best one that I've found is you can cut off the top of the stalk and let it dry out in a paper bag. And then get some pliers to hold onto that stalk and use a spoon to dig out the seeds. That way your tender human flesh is not getting punctured at any stage, hopefully, if everything goes right. I mean, realistically, you're always going to get poked a couple of times, unless you're more cautious than I am. Hey, maybe you're better at it than I am. But yeah, there is that. That's how you harvest them. That's how you use them. If you're allowed to grow them, for goodness sakes, grow them. If you're not allowed to grow them, I hope that you don't accidentally drop some seeds and accidentally grow some where somebody won't see it, because that would be illegal and bad. And we always follow the laws that prevent us from growing plants, because the laws are always wise and just, don't we? Yes, we do. Absolutely. And now let's wrap it up with a shameless plug for my Patreon page. Hey, do you want some more bonus content? Do you want to support the effort of the anti-zombies, the information distribution? Do you want to throw some money at me? Then why not go to patreon.com/foragersguide, where you can get extra posts, extra videos, downloadable PDFs and ebooks and things like that. Lots of fun stuff. For as little as $1 a month. $1 a month. Why, you could probably dig that out of your couch cushions. Of course, you can't send that over the internet, but hey, I'm sure you'll get it figured out. That's enough commercial from me. Thanks for watching and listening. I'll see you guys next time. But until then, keep your eyes out for plants and zombies, especially if those plants are thistles, because if you're not watching them, they'll bite you. And I wish you happy foraging. I'll see you in the next one.